Mas aí tem não. Mas aí tem isso aqui, moço. Ele passa mais cedo. Sim.
Late Sunday night in the Dirsu district of Teresina, Brazil, an armed robbery at a liquor store ended in an unexpected and dramatic way. The suspect burst into the shop brandishing a weapon, expecting fear and compliance. Instead, the female store owner fought back with determination, overpowering the robber and bringing him under control. As the suspect was restrained, another woman inside the store stepped in, grabbing chili peppers and forcefully shoving them into the robber's mouth. The intense pain left him helpless and ended any chance of escape. Police later arrested the suspect, identified as Anderson Silva. Officers seized several items, including a cell phone, necklace, wallet, credit cards, a .38 revolver, and a motorcycle. What was meant to be a routine crime collapsed into chaos, stopped by courage, quick thinking, and an unforgettable act of teamwork. A robbery in Bogota ended abruptly after an unexpected intervention by a passing driver. According to reports, 2 suspects were attempting to flee the scene when the driver, frustrated by ongoing crime in the area, used his vehicle to block and disrupt their escape. The brief pursuit forced the suspects to stop, preventing them from getting away. Police arrived shortly afterward and took the suspects into custody. An armed robbery at a supermarket in Araraquara took a dramatic turn on Tuesday, ending with the arrest of a 25-year-old suspect at the scene. According to police, 2 men arrived on a motorcycle and forced their way into the store, threatening customers and employees while attempting to steal jewelry worth approximately 18,500 reais. The crime unfolded rapidly but collapsed within minutes. As one suspect escaped on the motorcycle, the other was intercepted by a nearby police patrol responding to the incident. When the suspect's firearm malfunctioned, he was unable to continue the attack and was taken into custody without resistance. Authorities are now reviewing security camera footage to identify and locate the second suspect, who remains at large. Surveillance footage shows a tense robbery attempt unfolding at a commercial property, where 4 attackers moved in on 2 people just as they arrived. One of the targets was an off-duty military police officer. In the opening moments, he chose restraint, raising his hands and signaling that he was unarmed, hoping to defuse the threat without violence. But the situation shifted in an instant. Realizing the suspects were not carrying firearms, the officer made a split-second decision. He moved to a nearby vehicle, retrieved a pistol, and returned, firing in self-defense as the attackers panicked. A brazen robbery unfolded Tuesday night at a grocery store on Pozos de Caldas Street in Pozos de Caldas. Two armed criminals stormed the store and held a teenager hostage while forcing their way to the cash register. The suspects stole money from the till and took the victim's mobile phone before attempting to flee the scene. Their escape was short-lived. Police responded quickly and apprehended both suspects soon after the robbery. Authorities recovered the stolen cash and the cell phone, bringing the immediate threat to an end. The case remains under investigation as police work to determine further details surrounding the incident. A tense robbery unfolded inside a bar in São Luís, Maranhão, when an armed suspect wearing a motorcycle helmet burst into the establishment. The robber immediately took control of the room, threatening customers and ordering everyone to keep their hands raised while demanding valuables. Panic spread, but one person remained composed. Among the patrons was an off-duty Polícia Civil do Maranhão officer. To avoid a dangerous confrontation in the crowded space, he calmly dropped to the floor, appearing to comply while discreetly positioning himself. Waiting for the right moment, the officer stayed still until the suspect turned away to watch the other side of the bar. Seizing the opportunity, he drew his weapon and fired, neutralizing the threat and bringing the robbery to an immediate end. The swift, calculated response prevented further harm and underscored the importance of patience, awareness, and decisive action in critical moments. A tense confrontation unfolded in the Perdizes district of São Paulo after an 18-year-old suspect attempted to rob a couple walking along the street. According to reports, the suspect approached the couple and threatened them with what appeared to be a firearm, demanding their wedding ring and other jewelry. Believing the weapon to be fake, the 41-year-old male victim decided to resist. In a sudden move, he pushed the suspect to the ground, triggering a brief but chaotic struggle. During the fall, a critical detail became clear. The gun was real. The weapon slipped from the suspect's hand and fell onto the sidewalk. Acting quickly, one of the victims grabbed the firearm, preventing the situation from escalating further and bringing the confrontation to an end. A tense robbery attempt in Santa Catarina spiraled into chaos when a woman opened fire on a group of criminals to protect her husband. The incident unfolded in seconds. 3 suspects slipped through the family's open gate, crossed the yard, and immediately seized the husband, attempting to steal his motorcycle. The ambush appeared to be under control until the wife noticed the attack. Refusing to stand by, she grabbed her self-defense firearm and fired several shots. The sudden counterattack threw the robbers into panic, forcing them to scatter and retreat. Unable to steal the motorcycle as planned, the suspects snatched the woman's gun and fled the scene in a gray car. Authorities are now reviewing nearby security camera footage as they work to identify and locate the assailants behind the attack. A shocking robbery attempt in Mexico City was captured on surveillance camera, revealing a moment where courage turned the tide. When an armed robber burst into the shop and threatened him at gunpoint, the owner did not panic. Acting on instinct, he grabbed a machete and fought back, forcing the confrontation into close quarters. During the struggle, the robber lost control of his weapon. The gun fell to the floor. Seizing the opportunity, the shop owner picked it up, instantly reversing the balance of power. Faced with his own weapon now in the owner's hands, the robber panicked and fled the scene. What began as a terrifying ambush ended with quick thinking, raw bravery, and a criminal running for his life. Authorities have arrested Deshaun Donson, a suspect with prior convictions, following an armed robbery at a convenience store. Police say the suspect threatened a cashier and took cash before attempting to flee in a personal vehicle. Law enforcement units responded quickly and initiated a coordinated pursuit. The situation concluded at the parking area of a local hospital, where officers safely stopped the vehicle and took the suspect into custody without further incident. At the scene, police recovered the stolen money and the firearm believed to have been used in the robbery. Records indicate the suspect has a history of repeat offenses dating back to his youth. A street robbery was brought to an abrupt end after a police officer intervened at the right moment. According to authorities, the officer was nearby when he noticed a suspect attempting to rob another man. The situation was tense, and the victim appeared at risk as the suspect tried to take his belongings. Recognizing the seriousness of the moment, the officer acted promptly, intervening and detaining the suspect before the situation could worsen. What began as a seemingly calculated street robbery in São Paulo quickly descended into chaos when the intended victim turned out to be an off-duty police officer. According to preliminary reports, 3 suspects traveling in a car slowed down beside a man walking alone, targeting him as what they believed was an easy and vulnerable victim. Within seconds, however, the man sensed the imminent danger. Relying on instinct and professional training, he drew his firearm and fired in self-defense. The sudden gunfire instantly shifted the balance of power and shattered the suspect's plan. A viral incident in Costa Rica has captured global attention after a young woman, Sol Vargas Gurita, came face-to-face with a would-be robber and fought back. With no formal martial arts training, Vargas Gurita relied purely on instinct. In a split-second reaction, she executed jiu-jitsu-like moves, overpowering the attacker and bringing him to the ground. The spontaneous act of bravery not only protected her but also earned widespread admiration across the country. Yet the incident has also reignited concern over a darker trend. Crime in Costa Rica is on the rise, particularly street robberies in urban centers such as San Jose. Security experts warn that while her courage was extraordinary, confronting attackers, especially those who may be armed, carries extreme risk. What should have been an ordinary walk turned into a sudden ambush. A thief on a bicycle sped up from behind and ripped a handbag from a young woman's shoulder, clearly expecting an easy escape. He was wrong. The outcome stunned everyone. The woman fought him off and won, reclaiming her handbag from his grasp. And she didn't stop there. She even tried to seize his bicycle, nearly ending the getaway entirely. A brazen robbery attempt unfolded in Rio de Janeiro when an off-duty socio-educational agent was targeted by two armed criminals while stopped on his motorcycle. Sensing the imminent threat, the agent, who was carrying his service weapon, reacted swiftly, preventing the suspects from carrying out the robbery as planned. The incident highlights how situational awareness and quick reaction can disrupt a crime in seconds. Authorities and local media are praising the actions of a security guard named Danilo, whose quick thinking helped stop a carjacking attempt in Itaia along the coast of São Paulo. According to reports, Danilo was unarmed and alone when he noticed three criminals attacking a woman inside her car. Relying on his professional experience and rapid judgment, he decided to intervene. With no weapon available, Danilo grabbed a broken bottle from a nearby trash bin and confronted the suspects. The unexpected resistance caught the attackers off guard, forcing them to retreat and abandon the attempted carjacking. The woman managed to escape without injuries while the suspects fled the scene before police arrived. Authorities highlighted Danilo's calm and decisive response under pressure, noting that his actions were key to stopping the crime. At the same time, police reiterated that confronting criminals is extremely dangerous and should be avoided whenever possible. What was meant to be a swift motorcycle robbery in São Paulo turned into a humiliating failure after a calm and quick-thinking woman outsmarted three would-be thieves. The suspects surrounded her motorcycle, confident they could steal it within seconds. What they failed to realize was that the bike's most critical component, the smart key fob, was not on the vehicle, but safely hidden in the woman's pocket. Without the sensor, the high-end motorcycle was completely immobilized. As the criminals struggled in confusion, repeatedly trying and failing to start the bike, the woman managed to break free and run to safety. Moments later, she stunned onlookers by returning to confront the trio, displaying remarkable composure and courage. A robbery attempt in Brodowski ended abruptly early in the morning, after an off-duty military police officer opened fire to defend himself outside his home. Security camera footage shows the incident occurred around 2:54 a.m., moments after the officer arrived at the residence. Two suspects approached him, appearing to initiate a robbery. The officer, who was in uniform and armed with a handgun, reacted immediately and fired at the suspects, successfully stopping the attack and protecting his family. Covered from head to toe, the thugs stormed into a woman's shop, demanding money and expecting fear. He got resistance instead. Sensing immediate danger, the shop owner didn't hesitate. She grabbed a stepladder and raised it as a shield, then drove forward, forcing the robber back step by step. The sudden counterattack shattered his confidence. Within seconds, the would-be thief turned and ran, fleeing the store empty-handed and shaken. A serious incident occurred during an attempted robbery when a driver chose to pursue a fleeing suspect. According to reports, the chase began moments after the robbery attempt failed. During the pursuit, the suspect suddenly turned back and fired, hitting the driver. The shooting caused immediate panic at the scene. Emergency services were called, and the injured driver was taken to the hospital for medical care. Police later launched an operation to locate the suspect responsible for the shooting. Authorities emphasized that the case shows how quickly a situation can become dangerous when civilians attempt to chase or confront suspects. An attempted armed robbery was dramatically stopped when two family dogs rushed to defend their owner. The incident began as an elderly man arrived home and stopped at his front gate. At that moment, two armed attackers suddenly ambushed him, pointing a gun at his face and dragging him out of his car in an attempt to steal the vehicle and his valuables. Inside the house, the man's granddaughter witnessed the attack and reacted instantly. Without hesitation, she gave a command to the family dogs, a decisive move that changed the course of the confrontation. Within seconds, the dogs charged at the attackers, barking fiercely and biting them as they tried to maintain control. Caught completely off guard and overwhelmed, the robbers panicked and fled the scene, abandoning the robbery. Thanks to the granddaughter's quick thinking and the dog's fearless response, the elderly man escaped unharmed, and the criminals were forced to retreat empty-handed. A robbery attempt spiraled into chaos after a group of car thieves targeted an elderly man and forcefully dragged him out of his vehicle. Witnesses said the suspects approached with confidence, believing the theft would be easy. The elderly man was quickly overpowered and unable to resist as the attackers tried to seize his car. The situation changed within seconds when nearby bystanders rushed in, confronting the thieves and disrupting the crime. Faced with sudden resistance, the suspects panicked and lost control of the scene. Two robbers blended in as ordinary pedestrians, waiting patiently for the right opportunity. When a white car passed by, they made their move, suddenly confronting a man, threatening him, and demanding his motorcycle. Instead of panicking or resisting, the man stayed remarkably calm. He spoke carefully, stalled for time, and avoided escalating the situation, all while the danger loomed just inches away. That composure made the difference. Moments later, police arrived on the scene, interrupting the robbery and rescuing the victim before the criminals could carry out their plan. Two robbers riding a motorbike spotted an elderly man parking his car on a busy street and decided to strike. Without hesitation, the passenger jumped off the bike, rushed to the driver's side, and threatened the man, ordering him to get out so they could steal the vehicle. At first, people nearby didn't realize a crime was unfolding. Then everything changed. A pickup truck suddenly pulled in and blocked the getaway route, stopping the robber's car directly in front of them. The unexpected move shattered the plan. Startled and panicked, the would-be carjacker abandoned the attempt and ran off, leaving his partner behind and the robbery in total failure. A robbery attempt at a Houston hotel ended abruptly after a quick-thinking clerk turned the situation around on an armed suspect. Surveillance footage released by police shows a man carrying a rifle jumping over the hotel counter and demanding that the employee open the cash safe. Remaining calm, the clerk complied and unlocked the safe as ordered. What the robber failed to notice was a critical detail. The employee had a concealed handgun, hidden from the camera's view. The moment the clerk drew the weapon and aimed it at him, the suspect panicked. The robber immediately fled the hotel on foot without taking anything. No shots were fired and no one was injured, bringing the failed holdup to a swift and safe end.
Okay. There it is! I promise!
A robbery incident in Taboão da Serra, part of the São Paulo metropolitan area, ended with the suspect arrested shortly after the crime, authorities said. Security camera footage shows a man disguised as a delivery rider approaching a driver stopped at a red light. The suspect threatened the driver and forced him to hand over a wedding ring before fleeing the scene on a motorcycle. Police and the Municipal Civil Guard quickly launched a search across the area. Not long after the incident, officers located and detained the suspect, bringing the brief crime spree to an end. The victim, who asked not to be identified, also told investigators that the same individual had targeted another driver moments earlier, raising concerns about repeat offenses in the area. An attempted robbery at a gas station quickly descended into chaos when the intended victim fought back. According to reports, 4 suspects approached the victim at the station, attempting to intimidate and steal valuables. Instead of panicking, the victim reacted decisively, resisting the attack and disrupting their plan within seconds. Caught completely off guard, the robbers panicked. They fled the scene in different directions, abandoning the robbery attempt and leaving empty-handed. The incident ended without further escalation, highlighting how the victim's quick reaction caused the entire plan to collapse. A tense robbery attempt ended with a suspect detained in Barra da Tijuca after a father returning from the beach with his family confronted a street robber. According to reports, the family was walking with their twin babies when a suspect approached and demanded a gold chain. In a critical moment, the father realized the weapon being used to threaten them was only a replica gun. Acting quickly, he fought back. Nearby bystanders stepped in to help, and together they managed to restrain the suspect until police arrived at the scene. The robbery was prevented, no property was taken, and the family was kept safe. Authorities later took the suspect into custody, crediting the swift reaction of the victim and public assistance for stopping the crime. Police in Georgia are searching for 3 women captured on surveillance cameras attempting to rob a pharmacy, but the owner was not an easy target. Pharmacist Mbia Kalu was assisting a woman who claimed she needed a prescription when the situation suddenly changed. The woman revealed a weapon, prompting Kalu to react immediately as another suspect tried to distract him. In the confusion, Kalu managed to take control of the situation and secure the weapon. Realizing their plan had failed, all 3 suspects fled the pharmacy without taking anything. Police are reviewing the surveillance footage and continuing the search for the suspects involved. A dramatic robbery attempt ended in failure after a young ice cream shop employee refused to back down. The incident unfolded when a man armed with a fake gun stormed into the shop and demanded cash. Instead of complying, Vittoria, 20, fought back, striking the suspect and buying crucial seconds for her co-worker to act. In a swift move, the co-worker pulled down the metal shutter, trapping the robber inside the store and cutting off his escape. The suspect, later identified as Joel Emanuel, claimed it was his first robbery and said he was desperate for food. A violent carjacking attempt was abruptly stopped after a woman intervened in an unexpected way by unleashing her Pitbull. The incident unfolded when 3 men were seen attacking a family during an attempted carjacking. Witnessing the situation escalate, the woman acted without hesitation and released her dog toward the attackers. Startled and overwhelmed by the sudden intervention, the suspects immediately abandoned the attack. They scattered and fled the scene, leaving the family unharmed and the carjacking attempt unfinished. A routine day at a local store erupted into chaos when 4 armed robbers launched a coordinated attack, 2 storming inside while the others stood guard at the entrance. According to witnesses, the suspects attempted to overpower the store clerk and force compliance. Instead, the clerk resisted. A brief but intense struggle followed, during which he managed to wrestle a gun away from one of the attackers and fire in self-defense. What began as a routine moment in a quiet small town suddenly erupted into a shocking confrontation. An elderly couple had just arrived home and were preparing to reverse their car into the garage when a man dressed in black, accompanied by an accomplice, rushed in to steal the vehicle. But the elderly man was not caught off guard. In a split-second reaction, he launched a surprise counterattack. The man in black immediately fled the scene. His accomplice, panicked and disoriented, jumped into the car and threw it into reverse, only to realize the situation had spiraled out of control. Moments later, he abandoned the vehicle altogether and ran off on foot, leaving the failed theft behind. A would-be thief learned a harsh lesson after his crime unraveled in the most humiliating way possible. Riding a motorcycle at speed, the suspect lunged toward a woman in an apparent attempt to snatch her belongings. But before he could even reach her, his reckless move backfired. Losing control, the thief crashed hard onto the ground, stopping the crime before it even began. Law enforcement authorities have confirmed the successful arrest of Deshaun Donson, a repeat offender wanted in connection with an armed robbery at a convenience store. According to investigators, Donson threatened a store cashier with a firearm before stealing cash and fleeing the scene in his personal vehicle. Police quickly located the suspect and launched an aggressive pursuit as he attempted to escape. The chase came to an end in the parking lot of a local hospital, where officers deliberately carried out a direct vehicle intervention to stop Donson from continuing his flight. At the scene, police recovered key evidence, including a bag of stolen cash and the firearm used during the robbery. A brazen theft attempt at a flower shop ended in swift failure when the shop owner caught two intruders in the act. The suspects stormed inside with the intent to steal and tried to fight back when confronted, but the owner reacted instantly. Acting on instinct, he sprayed them with pepper spray, leaving both men blinded, disoriented, and unable to continue. Before the thieves could recover, the owner slammed the door shut and locked it, trapping them inside the store.